Alright, we're about to make another mold, and we're going to switch it up this time. Usually I'm using longleaf pine, um, commonly known as antique heart pine. Today we're going to be using cedar, and we're going to be mixing it with our epoxy, and it's going to be a duo blue color. I've got a client that has a very unique request for an item to be made, and she wants it to be blue. That's her favorite color. Cedar's my favorite wood, indigenous to the southeastern United States. I like walnut a lot too, but actually I like working with cedar better than walnut. It's softer, easier, lighter, just really nice to work with, and it smells great too. Walnut does not smell very good. But one of the problems with cedar, I mentioned it was lighter. It is very light, and it has a lot of I guess not necessarily air, just I guess the pores of the wood aren't as dense as say a hardwood like a walnut or something. So that leads to the possibility of having more air in the wood, and that is our enemy when we're doing an epoxy pour. Air bubbles are the enemy. So what I've been doing, and with the longleaf pine, I typically don't do this because it's a very tight wood. It's very dense, and I'm not as concerned about air escaping from the wood into the epoxy, mold or the epoxy medium, is I guess more proper term, than I would be with say cedar. So with the cedar, what I'm doing is I am coating it, sealing it with some just quick spray aerosol. This stuff dries so fast. It says 30 minutes. Man, this stuff dries in like 5 minutes, if 5 minutes. Clear lacquer, and also spray shellac. Those are my two go-tos when I need something done quick, as far as finishing goes, and especially sealing. I really like spray shellac better, but Lowe's was out of it, so I went with the lacquer. But anyway, I just sprayed these like 2 minutes ago, and they're pretty much almost dry. So these are going to be our wood chunks that are going to go in our mold. And that looks really nice with cedar when you seal it up. It's a little bit darker. Also got a really cool cedar cube over here we're going to be playing with in a second. But and this is some other cedar that I've already diced up and sealed up. And so what that lacquer is going to do is it's going to seal in any potential air bubbles or anywhere that air could escape from, hopefully. Like I say, it's very, very kind of porous and a lot more potential for air to escape the wood into our epoxy resin mixture, and that's what we want to avoid. This is going to be our mold, and we're actually reusing this. This is the first one that's ever survived a mold release, and I don't know if y'all remember, but this was the one that we used for the duo blue-green block right there. And so what I've done is I've sliced off, and these are some of the circles I was thinking about cutting into it to make the, I guess what everybody's calling the bracelets. This is where I was kind of thinking about cutting them, but anyway, I just went with these two. These are kind of prototypes for something I'm working on. But anyway, and then also I've got these, so these were cut out, and I've already drilled out the ring holes. The first time I did the rings, it was kind of a prototype as well, and I made the holes way too big. I made them to fit my pinky. Well, it turns out my pinky is bigger than just about every finger on every girl's hand that I've encountered since I made them, which doesn't work out well. So here's a whole bunch of rings that I start off by getting a nice smooth surface, then I take it to the drill press, and I get my Forstner bit and drill out the little sections that are going to be the ring, the finger inserts, and then I dice them up into little sections. Then I'll come in with my bandsaw and slice them into other sections. So these are rough right here. They've just been cut and cornered off. And then here are a whole batch of them that I've actually taken to the sander and rounded and smoothed them. And these will all be getting ready to be put out soon. So I gotta spray them off and clean them up before I put finish on them. And I'm probably gonna sand them again too. This is just kind of a rough, like an 80 or 100 grit. I'm probably gonna go up to about a 240 or 220, excuse me, and get them really, really smooth. But anyway, this is kind of how I go about making the the rings. I've also learned with rings that you want more. So epoxy is actually harder than wood, and also it doesn't splinter, and it doesn't have the grain to break with. So when making tiny little rings like this, I've learned that the more epoxy you have, the better it is, the more solid it is, the less you have to worry about it shattering. A good friend of mine, Linda Lou, had one of these rings, and she bumped it into something, and it was primarily wood around, especially around this little area right here where it's very small, and if it's all wood like that, there's a high probability that it's gonna, if you bang it on a door or something, it's gonna just probably shatter. It's just not a lot to hold it together. However, if you do it with the resin, it'll hold together great. I mean, it's a plastic polymer, and God, my thumb looks so dirty. It'll hold together great. This will actually bend a little bit, but it won't shatter or break. So, very durable ring. The more epoxy you have in it. So, I've been trying to get more of the blanks for my rings to have less wood. Like these top sections right here aren't going to do very well because it's going to be it's going to be all wood. Honestly, yeah, it's all wood. So those are probably just going to be something to cut out. Anyway, so I'm going to get the epoxy ready, and I'm going to pause this, and we'll come back later. All right, so we've got our part A poured, our part B. We've got our final mixing cup. We've got our mold ready. We've sprayed our mold release. We have our wood cedar pieces, as well as these cedar pieces down here. And these aren't really big, but they're not really small either. They're just kind of like mid-sized chunks, I would guess. You can kind of see the size. And we'll make sure we keep them clean. We don't want any dust introduced into the medium. And all right, and now the client wants it to be blue. So this is my go-to, the Duo Blue Green. I really like it. I went and kind of looked around all the blue stuff I have, and this is a pigment. It's going to be a powder. All the rest of these are going to be liquid. This transparent airbrush colors, this is a Caribbean blue. I used this on a river table I did that was a sliding barn door that I did, 3 cedar slabs with 2 rivers coming down it, and it worked out really good. I think I'm going to put some of that, and I like the idea that it's transparent. So you'll still be able to see through it. This one's going to be a little too dark. I really like that color, but I think if I'm trying to do the transparent, I'm going to, well, that's transparent too. And this is another airbrush color. This is called ultramarine blue. So Caribbean blue and ultramarine blue. This is what I use for water simulation, turquoise water tint. Really cool. I like that a lot. In fact, some of the first epoxy molds I did was with that. Then we've got these other like little model paints, and I don't think I'm really going to get into these. I used to use a French blue a lot. I think that's the blue metallic. I think the French blue is I used to use it a lot, but anyway. So I think we're going to go with the pearl pigment and the Caribbean blue and ultramarine blue. And I'm going to pause it again, and I'm going to start doing my mixing, and I'll be stirring for about 12 or 14 minutes, and I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so instead of stirring by hand, I've actually got this mixer, and I've got it on low speed. I don't want to introduce many air bubbles to the mixture. That's what we're trying to avoid. And this is really long. It's hard to record with just one hand. But not too fast. Want to make sure that it doesn't introduce too many air bubbles. This is really hard to record like this. Anyway, you get the idea. Alright, we just put in the Caribbean blue. And this is actually an airbrush paint. So this is liquid, and it's supposed to be transparent. So I'm scraping the sides to make sure I get it all. And the mixer worked pretty good. It introduced a little more air than I would like, but it's a heck of a lot easier than using the old stir arm. You start stirring for first of all, stirring for 7 minutes in this viscous stuff is kind of hard, and it makes your arm tired, but then once you do your color, you got to stir another 7 minutes, and yeah, I'll take the mixer. So I haven't told y'all what the project is yet that my client has requested, and it's going to be an interesting one. So, sex is part of life, and yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming, did you? And so is masturbation, and my client would like a very unique, special, personal, what do you call it, personal sexual device. I don't know, it's a dildo. I don't know the fancy word to say that, but and I don't care. I'm open-minded. I'm liberal as they come for Alabama, and hell yeah, you want to pay me for it? I'll make it for you. You're gonna love it. So this is really nice. I like that. I really like that color a lot. It's gonna be transparent. It's gonna look awesome with that red cedar. Oh, man, I don't know if I want to add anything else to it. I really like this. It's one of those things, like, if it ain't broke, don't keep screwing with it, Jay. I really like this color. I'm just going to put some pigment in there, but I don't know. I think this red cedar is going to look great contrasted with this. I think that's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Yeah, I'm good with it. It's going to look awesome. And, this is a girl who asked for this, but, boys, I got no problem making you, whatever. I'm open-minded. I don't care. You want to pay me, I'm going to take it. All right, going to pause again. Got to get some starting done. Okay, I changed my mind. I did put a little bit of the Blue Duo green. It's got that pearl in it. It's going to give us a little bit more of a shimmer. I've been using it so long. It's my favorite one. And I really, really, really like this. I think it's called Caribbean Blue, but I just wanted a little bit of that pearl. So we've got the pearl kind of seeing it, how it's like a little bit, that kind of greenish mix. It's going to look really nice. And this is going to contrast with the cedar really nice too. It's very hard to stir and film with one hand. I'm going to put you on pause again. All right, we got it all mixed up. Okay, Google, stop timer. And we see some air bubbles. It's already putting off heat. I got to pause it again. All right, you heard me talk about how it's much lighter than and more porous. The heart pine stays down, but the cedar does not. It floats. I know my camera works terrible, y'all, because I'm kind of trying to get this all taken care of real quick. So I'm going to do some sacrificial pieces of thin cedar. These are what I practice the Mojo brand burning on, and we're going to try to see if those will keep them down a little bit, and we're going to use our mixing stick to give us a little more pressure, and that seems to be working pretty good. I know that the camera works terrible, y'all, but this is what you do when you got one hand and no helpers. Well, I got my doggy Grux over here, but he's sound sleeping. I ain't worried about that. Screw it. All right, so get this over here, get out of the way. And we're kind of on the clock. It's not super perilous yet. This is going to severely limit my ability to pop these bubbles by having these here. And I don't know about this. I didn't foresee this, and this is not good. All right, it's not terrible, but it's not great. I got some weights down here. Let's try those little tiny ones. Oh yeah, I got two. All right. Pause. All right, I just figured out I got epoxy on my phone. That's going to be lovely. So we've got it all stacked down. The bubble popping is going to be a problem with these in the way. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to catch them. I don't know. Before the old chin balance. Oh, that's going to fall. I'm hoping I'm going to catch these bubbles before it's time. But there's going to be bubbles. I mean, there's just no way around it. What I was trying to say is, I'm hoping that by the time this starts curing a little bit more, that the wood will, the buoyancy of the wood will no longer be the dominating factor in the positioning of the wood chunks, and that the viscosity, the thicker viscosity of the epoxy medium is going to hold the wood that I want to stay down in place, and I will be able to remove this top part and maybe pop some bubbles. But for on the fly, I think this is a pretty good solution. Very much on the fly. Man, if I had an assistant, well, I need to get Armando down here. I've got one of Lebowski's Junior Achievers kid down the road, Armando, and he's helping me out a little bit. Bonnie Lebowski's little urban achievers. He helps me do some earrings and such, and jewelry. Good kid. A little urban achiever. More rural achiever. Alright, pause. We're getting a lot of bubbles out of this cedar. Wow. And it's also curing really fast. Man. It's going to be alright. These press down plates are just killing the bubble. I mean, they're just not letting me get to them. It's already curing really fast. I can see heat coming off. Yeah, really fast cure. I stirred it really, really good with that mixer, and that's why it's gelling up so fast. But it's not the end of the world. We're all good. We need to get this out of here. And there's a lot of heat coming off this. I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's smoking. It's time to get this sucker in the freezer, and oh God, I gotta do some of this. Pause.